My thing is this. I'm 10,000 years at least ahead of 99% of the population in consciousness. Now, I don't have to argue this. We can consistently continue to demonstrate my level and degree of comprehension, which is lacking in the majority that we just mentioned. Now, 10,000 years at least ahead of people mentally in consciousness. And what I've realized is that, and I've said this to the people on the team back when I was in Spain and back when I was in Egypt, y'all resonate more with Sheikhy in the park than Sheikhy in the high rise, in the condo, in the 32nd, the 34th, the 60th floor, in the penthouse suites with those beautiful views. Y'all resonate more with this Sheikhy than that Sheikhy. And I've seen it because I've posted videos of myself back in the park and those go crazy. But whenever there's material success and material wealth, people are a little bit more quiet. Why? Because as my big homies say, these frequencies don't vibrate. So for the past 4 years, I've been considering and raising my vibrations every day in front of your faces, and everything has changed. Everything has elevated, and I've fully demonstrated. But so many of you stayed in the same spot. So many of you failed to take the ride with me. Noah's Ark type shit. A lot of y'all stayed outside while I built that ark like Noah, with that ark like Noah. And when that rain came and it was time to see what's up, motherfuckers ended up drowning in the waves. Now, I say all that to say, I realize I need to be able to come back down and resonate at your frequency to make sure and ensure that you come back to the top with me. Whatever you are, your world is yours. It's nothing for an individual who has achieved a higher state of consciousness to go to that state of consciousness, because it becomes a place you've recognized and you've mastered and you've attained. So you can be the higher frequency and you can be the lower frequency. You can be the higher intelligence and you can be the lower intelligence. The lower intelligence can't be the higher intelligence. The higher intelligence can't be the lower intelligence. It's like a fool can't be smart, but a smart person could play the fool. You feel me? So whatever you are, your world is yours. I say all that to say 10,000 years ahead of the game. And it's not about physical or monetary, because a lot of people would simply focus on channeling their willpower into the accumulation of money maybe, or they'll just sit back and work out all day. Sober, fit, enlightened, and rich. We need all four. If it ain't all four, you're definitely poor. And if it ain't the first three, sober, fit, and enlightened, you're definitely not free. So we take it in stages. The individual gets sober, begins to lean on their own energetic resources for their resilience and their power and resistance against pressures and adversities. No more using external tools to create an internal state so that you can enjoy yourself as you are, because you by default don't enjoy yourself as you are. A lot of people say, well, I just want to have fun. So by default, you're saying that you're not a fun experience to experience. So you need to seek something from without to create an experience so that you can experience yourself the way you want to experience. And that by default is defective. Whatever you are, your world is yours. We get fit, sober and fit. The best physical physique, where the mind and the abstraction of the concept of will become concrete and become reflected in the degree of concreteness in the individual's physique, physicalness, physiqueness. Whatever you are, your world is yours. So we're sober and we're fit. We're no longer self-compromising. Anybody who is willing to consistently get high, consistently drink, consistently do the drugs and stay with the vices, masturbation, porn, whatever it is, somebody who's consistently willing to, as my big homie says, seek pleasure over purpose, put their individual immediate pleasures over their grander purpose, their greater purpose. GP, what's up? Is an individual who's willing to compromise themselves. And an individual willing to compromise themselves is a compromise, and will compromise the mission and the vision and compromise their people and their team. So we no longer compromise ourselves because we no longer want to bring an individual who will compromise everyone else. Physically fit, you got to be ready to do anything that you should be able to do at the drop of a dime. So many of you can't even go up a flight of stairs without going up this flight of stairs right here, huffing and puffing, and can't make it back down the hill. It's quiet. Fuck them. Can't even muscle up, can't even push up, can't even pull your own weight up, can't even do nothing. Physically, you're fucked. In any situation, you just gonna get slugged out. It's just what it is. Whatever you are, your world is yours. And enlightened. So let's talk about this mental advancement, this level of mental advancement and acuity that I'm on. Big homie said, put himself so far ahead, motherfuckers will never catch up. I did that in the being department. I put myself so far ahead here, you'll never catch up. I'm telling you. Why? Because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you know the way you need to know it, and you don't know that you know what you know the way you need to know it. Meaning, many people possess knowledge, but their interpretation and their critical analysis and their ability to use deductive reasoning to come to solid conclusions without making logistical errors in their logic. Because when I did ayahuasca, the first thing that I heard, and the main thing I only heard, was that logic is like math. So motherfuckers got their algebra fucked up. You might know that 2x plus 5 equals 10. What is x? 2 times what equals plus 5? 2 times what plus 5 equals... Anyway, we're not doing that math right now. But understand that formulas are formulas, and life is full of formulas and problem solving. So motherfuckers will be looking at some knowledge, and looking at that knowledge, not be able to truly get down to the conclusion without making some error in their logic, in their deductive reasoning, or inductive reasoning, in their reasoning. Because the mind is truly the reasoning faculty. And if you don't have proper reasoning skills in this life, you will be moving in erroneous paradigms, erroneous ultimates, as I said, and you will just be moving with erroneous conclusions. And the erroneous conclusions, the false psychological assumptions, are the root of all evil. Anyway, I say this to say, for example, when AI first came out, at the advent of AI, artificial intelligence, my conscience said to me as I looked around, these people will be slaves for at least another 6,000 years, 6,000 to 10,000 years, if you do not catch up mentally. Because we don't live in the age of information anymore. We live in the age of intelligence. Don't forget, Sheikhy Chic is really putting you on the game. We don't live in the age of information. Information is wild abundant. That was 2009, 2010, 2011, as Facebook and all that starting to come out, after MySpace, all that. Lil B, shouts out. Age of information. Go listen to that song. We lived in the age of information. It's the year 2025. 2010 was 15 years ago. Almost 2 decades ago. We live in the age of intelligence, and the age of intelligence is not about the accumulation of information. It's about the skillful application of said information towards specific ends. Skillful application, effective, efficient, proficient. So having information and possessing knowledge doesn't mean shit if your degree of application, aka your degree of comprehension, is shot out, is fucked up. So this is when we move into the phase of everybody who says they know some shit and they keep talking, but they keep demonstrating otherwise. They keep demonstrating a poor degree of intelligence, because to know and to not be is the highlight of stupidity. To know and to not know is to not know. However you want to frame that shit, if you know some shit, the more you know, and the less you apply, the more stupid you actually are in life. Consider the vibrations raised, because to know and to not be is the opposite of intelligent. Consider the vibrations raised. I say all this to say, you need to get around an individual like myself, a repository of massive wisdom, so that you can accelerate your mental quantum leap. You need to take a quantum leap mentally. See, when an individual like myself possesses 10,000 years of advancement at least, and you consult with them, you jump yourself 10,000 years in a matter of 10 minutes. But like I said, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't have a clue where to begin to know what you need to know that you don't even know that you need to know. Comprehend that statement. Rewind it if you need to. Play it in slow motion. You don't know what you need to know. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what to know. And you don't have enough time to guess your way through the information that has been laid down by the best of humans, that some of us have done the deep scholastic work, the deep research, to not just simply accumulate and be able to recite, but who have sat down in deep contemplation, in deep reflection, to come to higher compound realizations over time. Consciousness compounds just like money does. So the more you sit back in reflection, the more you sit back in contemplation truly over these subject matters, the more you end up at higher tiers of comprehension. Whatever you, why your world is yours. And then lastly, we could talk about the money, sober, fit, enlightened, and rich. The money ain't shit. Because once you realize that the money is not going to do nothing but provide you and supply you supplies of life, then you really realize all these individuals want to talk about the money, but you ain't shit. You're not even sober. You're not even sober. You're not even fit. You're not even sober and fit. You're not even sober and fit. You're not even enlightened. You're not even sober or fit or enlightened. You none of the top three. So why the fuck do you think you deserve a high quality or a high sum of money? Come on, y'all gotta start being smarter than this. So, you know, I'm back in this park because I understand y'all more than you understand yourselves. And y'all need to see this level of Sheikhy, bare bones Sheikhy, because this is where it all started. And this is all I ever needed. Granted, I've been through many situations and many ascensions and many environments which have, through exposure, granted me a fortification of a level of consciousness you will never be able to see, because you need to get the experience. You don't want the Lambo, you don't want the condo, you don't want the yacht, you don't want the money, you want the experience that it affords you. The space and place of contemplation that it affords your soul to really evaluate your values. You don't know your values until you can get what you really value that you don't have, to see if you truly value it on a level that you think it's going to bring you value. And then once you get to the top, you're going to realize there's nothing to get, there's nothing to lose, there's only something to be. And that's why the money's not top priority, because even if you had $10 million today, you would still have to be something. And a lot of you just aren't shit. So you have to be what you're supposed to be, and everything else ensues. Whatever you are, your world is yours. They try to pursue happiness. Happiness is something that ensues. Consider the vibrations raised. Whatever you are, your world is yours. 10,000 years ahead of y'all. And I realized as I was walking and conversing with Sheikhy Chic yesterday, that I need to come down from the top of the mountain and relate with you at this level and make sure you come back up to the top. So first, you need to shut the fuck up and get sober, bro. Stop being a bitch. And when I say being a bitch, I really mean being a bitch, because at the end of the day, it shows emotional insecurity and it shows emotional weakness. Anytime you see somebody go for a drink, go for a smoke, go for a puff, go for a line, they're feeling emotionally insecure. So you need to become emotionally secure with yourself and resilient and be able to lean on your own resources and stop walking around with crutches, because the more you use crutches, the less your legs work, the more your personal energies atrophied, the less you're capable, the more you need crutches. So be a man, stand on your own shit. Get fit, same shit. Really get enlightened and really reflect on existence. Get to a high degree of comprehension of the existential paradigm you live in. This thing that you've been gifted and experienced, and really understand it at the highest level. Because the more you understand this and the more you understand God, because the purpose of a lot of things is to know God. And the more you know God, the more you know yourself. Consider the vibrations raised. And then we're going to get rich, because the only thing to do on this planet is in this order. Experience yourself the way you want to experience yourself. Get what you want in the world, external world, and experience what you want in the external world. But it all is predicated on what Wes Watson said, which is create the individual that you admire and always needed, and then gift them to the world. And in creating the individual you always admired and always needed, you'll cultivate an individual, and at the highest point of culmination, you'll be able to garner and earn the lifestyle at the degree of culmination that you are. So your level of success and your level of personal development are inextricably linked. They're correlated at the highest level. And once you create this individual that you admire and that you always needed, and you gift them to the world, then you can begin to earn the experience that you want in the external world and the things you want in the external world, because you will be experiencing yourself as the way you need to be experiencing yourself at the highest level. Consider the vibrations raised. Evolution, only solution. Self-mastery, only success. They think it's just talking, but many of them cannot actually have this type of conversation with people. Many of them do not have this within them to give this out to people. Every time you hear an individual like me speak, understand that this is what's within us. Anytime you hear any individual speak, pay attention to the subject matter. Pay attention to what is coming out of them. You listen to a lot of shit people be talking about, that shit day room like a motherfucker. Like, what the fuck is even coming out of your mouth? What is that? Why are you filling the air with that? Why are you filling my ears and obscuring my imagination, making my imagination imagine some bullshit? Listen to wise people or listen to silence. And when you listen to silence, you will hear the wisdom that you've always needed. This is why isolation and elevation are positively correlated. Consider vibrations raised. We ain't going on a rant. 10,000 years ahead of the game. A lot of y'all are going to be slaves because y'all are not understanding that we live in a mental world, a meta-mental world. And with the advent of AI, 6,000 years at least, you're going to be slaves. So if you don't make the mental jump into the realm of mind, you're going to be fucked, and your children are going to be fucked, and your descendants are going to be fucked. Everybody thinks that they're not in slavery. Bro, the master affords a certain degree, the slave gets to afford whatever the master affords. The more the master can afford, the more the slave can afford. Since the plantations and the cotton fields to this massive capitalistic industrial complex, the more the masters afford, the more the slaves can afford. So at this point, you got cell phones, amenities, all this other basic shit that's not basic at all, that's way advanced for anybody in any type of human history. What do you think the realest, highest level people on this earth really have access to? Consider the vibrations raised. Evolution only solution.